Hi guys! So today we're gonna be reading Jason the Toymaker ex-listener up in here. Honestly, y'all haven't seen me like this in forever with a bonnet on. Y'all haven't seen me like this. My old subscribers probably have, but y'all might want to get used to it because y'all might see it once in a while. But anywho, here is a short recap. So basically, last where we left off is basically Jason. You know how he is. He saves our lives, and we find out soon enough that Jason is pretending to be a normal college student and doing something about it. I don't really exactly remember why he was doing it. I don't think it's specified. I think it's just to gain victims or something like that. And then eventually, when class day comes, we have to partner with something for the rest of the year, an art, a sculpting or something like that. And then all of a sudden, when no one else wants to partner us, remarkably, Jason comes in there, like the savior of the day. And you guys recognize each other from him rescuing us from, the Ebolas. And they're partners, and they made up an idea of mixing a ballerina with a butterfly, which I already gave some ideas about it because I think it would look super cute, super cool. But that's the end of the recap. That we is finished with that. Let's get straight into it. Alright, y'all. We is in chapter 4, Fix Them Up. Jason's point of view. Tyler scoffed when he saw my face and smirked. Jason, you little son of a bitch. I knew something was up with you when you took the six of us that night. He said, as I checked the melting wax. You know why you're here. What you did, I said as I looked back at him. I grabbed a knife and pressed it against his neck for a second before removing it. I went over to my desk and started making a sketch for a tux. I made a goal that I would have a night with the hottest girls on campus this year. Wyan is the only girl left. She refused every time, leaving me no choice. She's one of the most attractive bitches on campus. I was going to sleep with her one way or another, Tyler said before I cut into his arm, turning his talking into screaming. What the fuck are you doing that for? Tyler yelled. I smirked before walking around him. You know what you did, you bastard, I replied as I felt my anger getting stronger. It started to change my eyes. I sighed and laughed a little. I'm curious how you are, somehow, one of the popular students and Wyan isn't, I said as I started to cut some cloth for the tux. All of the guys here look up to me. No one has had as many one-night stands as me. I have done the impossible. Almost every girl on campus would go insane whenever I talked to them, whenever they heard my voice. Tyler said. I simply rolled my eyes. You're a fuckboy. It's nothing special, I replied as I started stitching the fabrics. After a while, I paused and looked at Tyler. How many hearts have you broken when you got what you wanted and tossed them aside? I asked with a stern gaze. Tyler smiled a little. A lot. I lost count. Most of them went want another night, hoping I'll take them back. Little sluts. Some cried when I told them that they were nothing. I rarely see those ones again. Tyler replied, Do you know how many parents are looking for your ass to take revenge of their daughters? I asked, as I finished stitching and trying to contain my anger. Tyler scoffed a little. They don't matter. I'll worry about them after I'm done with YN, he answered. I set the complete tux down and looked at the wax to see if it was completely melted. That's not going to happen, I said as I stood up while looking at Tyler's confused face. You've been very bad, Tyler. I know something is fucked up about you. I'll have to fix you, I said as I grabbed the pot of wax before dumping the wax over him and listening to his screams. I covered him in wax and turned him into a doll. I painted the details and dressed him in the tux I made. I carefully picked him up and sat him down on the table with the other dolls. My anger faded and I turned back into my normal self. I looked over at the circular window and smiled. I should probably check on YN. I said as I walked to the window and looked out. I watched her finish dusting her dresser before setting the cloth and, in a way, looking at me with her beautiful smile. I had a brilliant day, Stella. I think this year's going to be different. I have a partner in my sculpting class. I didn't think I would have someone legitimately wanting to be my partner for the year. He seems really nice. I hope I don't lose him. He is pretty much the only person that is my friend in this college. Once, she said to the doll before moving its hair to the side, then leaving to make dinner. I smiled at her words. She saw me as a friend. Kelly didn't want me to be her friend anymore after all I did for her. I was a true friend to Kelly, but she wasn't a true friend to me. She's an ungrateful brat. I suppose I'll have to pay Kelly a visit. Maybe she'll change her mind and want to come back with me, I said as I walked towards my blue door that was now outside of Stella's room. Not Stella's, Kelly's room. In the back of my mind, I knew it wasn't going to end well with Kelly and I. My hopes of her returning to my side were too high. Now, I have 2 dolls in one day. I stared at the new doll. There was a slight anger trying to change my appearance. I spent weeks working on controlling my physical changes. When Kelly said no, when she said she hated me, that I wished I was dead, I couldn't control it much longer. Fear consumed her when she heard my voice change, sounding like I had 2. One was my normal voice. The other one was that of a demon. She saw my eyes turn pale green, my teeth becoming pointed, and my arms turned black and rotten with white claws at my fingertips. I dragged her through my door and fixed her up. Now, the only thing in my mind was to find another child that hopefully would be a true friend. I spent all night looking for one. I was about to give up and call it a night, but then I met someone. Pat. She was sweet and had good manners when I gave her a stuffed doll named Miranda. I felt happy seeing her face brighten up at the sight of the doll. I offered her all the toys in the world, and she wanted to come with me and live in my workshop. Perhaps Pat is the true friend I've been looking for. Ooh. Chapter 5, Priceless. Your point of view. It has almost been 5 weeks since Tyler disappeared. Jason and I hung out a lot. I would invite him over often. He doesn't want me going to his room to hang out with him. He had his reasons. Some involved the other guys in the dormitory, so I didn't mind. We always shared ideas aside from the projects we worked on together in class. We were the only group that didn't argue about ideas. Many friends that were partners broke up as friends, probably because they saw that what their friends were really like. Jason told me a lot about a friend named Pat. I met her once when he introduced me to her. She didn't really seem interested in getting to know me and mostly focused on her stuffed doll. I don't mind, though. Pat is just a little girl, after all. Today was finally Saturday. I was going to see Dash, and I wanted Jason to meet him. I was waiting at the main courtyard for him when I heard a familiar voice. "Good afternoon, YN," it said. I looked over my shoulder and saw Mr. Ewing. I was confused why he was here. He fired me when he found out I couldn't write anymore. He hasn't talked to me since then. "Hey, Mr. Ewing, it's been a while. What brings you here?" I asked as he stood behind me and rested his hands on my shoulders. "I just thought I'd come and say hello. To see how you've been doing," he replied. I started to get uncomfortable when he began massaging my shoulders. "I've also been wanting to ask you something." Oh shit, if he says that he wants to take me on a date, I might puke. I thought to myself, ever since that accident, my reputation has sunk. All of my riders had never made it as far as you, not even close. My horses are constantly becoming lame, he explained. "I wonder why," I said sarcastically in my head. I felt relief when he removed his hands and finally stood in front of me. 50,000. I'll buy Dash. He's the best chance I have to save my reputation and get to state, he said. Part of me wondered if I heard him right. "Mr. Ewing, he's not for sale. His competing days are pretty much over because of that injury. I wouldn't sell him for anything. I'm sorry," I replied, and I could see he wasn't very pleased with my response. "How much would it take to convince you? What price?" he asked. I thought it for a second. "I wouldn't sell him even if you offered me a new pair of legs," I replied blankly, hoping that he would not be so stubborn for once. "He is open for breeding, though. I a lot of people paired their horses with him and got good results. I added. He seemed tempted. I looked past Ewing for a second and saw Jason in the distance. I'm sorry, but I need to go. We'll talk about it sometime. It was good seeing you, I said as I made my way towards Jason. Jason's point of view. Wyan was making her way towards me after talking to an older man. His eyes met mine and I could instantly feel jealousy coming off him. Who was that man you were talking to? I asked when she reached me. She looked back before we started making our way out of the college. That was my boss when I was still writing. He wants to buy Dash. She answered. I could hear a touch of anger in her voice. He fired me in cold blood when I told him I wouldn't compete again. And now he wants to be nice while trying to take Dash, she said, and as her anger started to build up. She took a deep breath and relaxed. I hope he'll let it go and settle with my offer. If he does, I'll lower the price a little. She finished as we left the campus and were making our way towards the end of town. What was your offer? I asked. I told him that Dash was available for breeding. The person that lets me breed him on the property takes care of that. I let her ride him every now and then, since she isn't hard on him. I just wish that I could ride him again, she said sadly. We were quiet for a bit. I couldn't imagine how it feels not to be able to do the one thing that was your life. Shit, she said under her breath. I looked down at her and realized that we were at the end of town. What is it? I asked while watching her struggle to move her wheels forward. I always have a difficulty when it comes to this hill. It takes a while, but I'll get there, she stated. I looked and saw the two of us were starting to go up a relatively steep hill. The back of my mind was nagging at me as I watched her struggle. A minute went by and she barely went 3 feet up with about 11 more feet left to the top. Her arms were shaking from exhaustion, but she kept pushing herself. I couldn't stand it. That's enough now, Wyan, I said before going behind her. Wyan looked at me with a confused look. Before she could say anything, I started pushing her up the hill. I could hear her thoughts fighting with each other. Some said she should help me push her up, while the others said not to. I wanted to tell her to relax and not to worry about helping me, but it would blow my cover. I almost did that when I told her I was there when her legs were shattered from the weight of the horse. She heard my voice in her head that day. I can't push it too far. I got her over the hill and now on the other side before letting go. Thanks, she said as we continued on. I looked at her face to see it turned a slight pink. I smiled a little at the sight of her blushing. Your point of view. Jason followed me past the stables towards the open fields. Dash was the only stud there, so he needed a separate pasture. This place is beautiful, Jason said as he took in every detail. I smiled as I watched him look in 10 different directions simultaneously. We finally reached the gate and I opened it. I closed it after Jason stepped in after me. Stepped in. Girl, where? Rolled in, more likely. We went a few feet away from the fence before stopping. Stay behind me, I said before I whistled loudly. Jason looked confused for a second before we heard something coming. I couldn't hold back the smile on my face as stay along gracefully ran towards us. He slowed down and stopped in front of me. Hi, Dash, I said. Jason's point of view. I'd never seen a Stalon, so calm and loyal. Dash paid no attention to the mares in the other pastures. He's beautiful, Wyan, I commented. Wyan smiled as she continued to pet Dash. She suddenly stopped and the smile on her face faded away. I wish I could ride him again. When the doctor said the time in the saddle was gone, that part of me just died. She said as Dash nudged her shoulder. How do they know? I asked. Wyan smiled slightly. They said that one leg was bent back and snapped while both shattered. I never questioned them. She replied. I looked at Dash. I wanted to try something. My only hope is that it works. I walked around and picked up Wyan. Jason, what are you doing? She asked, obviously nervous and confused. I smiled as I carried her towards Dash's side. They said that your time with the saddle is gone, but they said nothing about riding bareback. I stated before putting Wyan on Dash's back. Dash didn't move. He simply looked back at her as if he was waiting for her commands. I could tell that Wyan was unsure. Wyan? I said before Wyan looked at me. I could see the doubt in her eyes. I could see the voices of her doctors telling them that she couldn't write or compete again. Jason, she said before I interrupted her. Dash wants you to write him. I can see it in his eyes. Can't you see it? I said. Wyan took a deep breath and held the horse's mane before turning him and telling him to walk. Her face changed from worried to happy in a split second as she made Dash trot away. Dash was going faster as Wyan's smile grew. She made him jump over a few fallen trees. It felt good to see her ride again. To see her do what she loved. Oh, that is so cute, man. That is so fucking cute. Oh. Chapter 6. Make it up. Your point of view. Please, just a few more seconds. I shouted as I raced across my living room towards my phone. I managed to grab it just in time before it goes to message. Hello? I said slightly loudly. Before I could expect anything, my whole family was singing to me. I completely forgot in these past 7 weeks that it would be my birthday. More importantly, my 21st birthday. Oh, you guys remembered. As I said, I failed to hold back my smile. Of course we would remember. Did you remember? My dad asked. I blushed in slight embarrassment. I forgot about it. I replied. It was quiet for a second. That's fine, Wyan. You've been working very hard. Your partner has been a major help. Your grades have been the best compared to the last years. Your mom looks at your grades? My mom said. What are you planning on doing for celebrating? My older brother asked. I was quiet. I never thought about it. I could hang out with friends, but Jason was the only friend I had. Sadly, Jason hasn't been hanging out as much with me ever since he met Pat. I was thinking I would go out to eat. I replied shortly. My family was silent for a second. Okay then, be careful. Be aware of your surroundings. My mom said. If anyone makes you uncomfortable, give me a call and I'll be there in a flash with my gun. My dad added while laughing, even though I knew he was serious. But I appreciated that he will always have my back. I'll have my phone on me just in case, I said. I could feel the relief. All right, well, have fun. We love you, my mom said. I love you all too. Bye, I said before they said their goodbyes and we hung up. I looked at my contacts and looked at Jason's number. I thought about calling him, but assumed that he was too busy with Pat. I sighed in disappointment. I had missed hanging out with him. Our only chance to talk was during the classes we had together. I looked at Stella and smiled before grabbing my keys and looking at the clock. Dinner rush was now over. I'll be back later, I told her before putting my phone and keys in my purse and putting it on my shoulder before leaving. I don't know what favorite restaurant. I ain't fancy. I'm going to say Italian because I actually been to an Italian one. It was super good. Anyway, right? Yeah, I think it was Italian. The Italian restaurant was quiet with a few people. I decided to have a small mixed drink with my dinner to celebrate. It was very lonely, though. I really wish I had someone to drink with. Oh, hello, Wyan. A voice said. I looked up from my glass and saw Ewing. I sighed in my head. He made an offer on Dash 2 weeks ago. He is the last person I would want to see tonight. Oh, hello, Ewing. What are you doing tonight? I asked, even though I wasn't interested. I only asked just to be nice. Just mourning. Stella died yesterday. He replied. Now I was interested, while shocked and sad at the same time. Ewing was going to breed her with Dash. Oh, what happened? I asked before taking a drink. I had to put her down. She broke a leg. It was about just as bad as Dash's injury. It's sad because I was going to put her with Dash. He answered. I was quiet for a second. Dash's injury healed just fine. Stella could have been okay. I could only think of 2 reasons. I just wanted to ask you, he said before pausing for a second. Oh boy, here it comes. I said in my head, since Stella is no longer here, I'm still interested in buying Dash. I'll pay whatever price. He said. I sighed as I harshly set my glass down. I can't do this anymore. I don't care how much you offer. He is not for sale. Get that through your thick head. I said with a slight pissed-off tone. The atmosphere between the two of us grew tense within seconds. I need him, Wyan. I'll do whatever it takes to get him, even if I need to go to court, he said as he got close and grabbed my shoulders tightly. Are you threatening me, Ewing? I said as I hit him in his arms, making him let me go. If I could stand, I would so that I could look you straight in the eyes and tell you to get out of my face and leave. I don't ever ask me if you could buy Dash ever again. Now fuck off. I finished. You're starting a war that you won't win no matter how much you think you can. I'll leave you alone for now, but this isn't over, Ewing said before leaving. My voice suddenly grew shaky. I never stood up to him like that before. It felt kind of good. But I was also scared. I took a deep breath and placed my arms on the table before resting my head. I really need Jason right now. Wyan? His voice said. I thought it was in my head, but I looked anyway. I was happy when I saw his face in front of me, even though my depressed face didn't show it. Are you okay? He asked. Jason's point of view. Wyan nodded her head but stopped before shaking it. She pushed a chair out, inviting me to sit down. What's wrong? I said as I sat down. Today is my 21st birthday, and the first person that sees me was Ewing. One of his horses died, and I think he did it on purpose to try and convince me to sell Dash for the third time. We got in a heated conversation, and then he made a threat before I told him to leave. She explained. I was shocked. My anger was growing a little from her words. I thought he would have let go when you told him no the second time, I said as a waiter sat down to water a glass in front of me. I really hoped he would, she replied before she became really quiet for a bit. I don't want to sound mad or jealous of Pat, but I miss you, Jason. I miss hanging out with you outside of classes, she said. When she said those words, I immediately felt like I hurt her. I most likely did. I felt bad for doing so. I paid for my glass of water. You paid for glasses of water? Well, Wyan paid for her meal, and we stepped outside into the cold autumn night. Wyan, listen, I said as we reached the door to the apartment. She looked at me with an almost blank expression. I'll tell you what, I'll make it up to you. Meet me outside of the apartment at 12 tomorrow night. We'll celebrate your birthday together, I said before she smiled. We talked a little more before we said goodnight to each other, and I made my way back to my dorm. I knew Pat might be shocked because of my disappearance tomorrow night, but I needed to hang out with Wyan. She's a good friend, and I didn't want to lose her friendship. I'll make sure that tomorrow night will be the night of her life. Oh, that's so cute of you. Look at you. And I kind of realized how long these chapters are. One more wouldn't hurt, right? One more. Also, Mr. Ewing, that's why you get 0 bitches. Just gotta point that out. Ewing, you get fucking 0 bitches. Chapter 7. I thought. Jason's point of view. I waited nervously outside. It was warm for an autumn night, which was good since it was going to be a long travel to where I wanted to take her. That is, if she comes. I looked at the clock to see if it was 5 minutes to 12. Then I heard the door open and saw Wyan. She dressed comfortably, but also nice. I smiled at her. Ready? I asked. She smiled as she nodded her head. We talked a lot as I led her across the campus past the dorms. We were in the parking lot when I looked back to see her falling behind. You're being a slowpoke. Come on now, I said as I jogged back to her. Well, as you can see, Jason, I'm not a race car. I'm not a race car. She chuckled. I smiled sincerely. Oh, really? I said with a sneaky tone as I stepped behind her. Jason, what do you do? She said before I grabbed the handles and started running as fast as I could. She screamed a little from shock before laughing as she held her arms in the air as if she was on a roller coaster. I laughed as I watched her reaction while pushing her towards the gym. Jason, the Reincarnation Center is closed. We can't get in, she stated. She was shocked when my hand pushed the door open. I watched her struggle to find the words for a moment. A friend of mine unlocked the doors and turned the cameras off. No one will ever know we were here, I replied, making her smile. We wandered around the halls for a while before stepping into the lobby. The lights were dimmed and there was food on the coffee table. It's not much, but I said before Wyan interrupted. It's perfect, she said while holding my hand. We were quiet for about an hour, simply eating and watching her favorite show. I must have drank too much pop. What? I must have drank too much pop too fast because I randomly burped before I could stop myself. Ryan looked at me shocked before laughing. Jason! She giggled before hitting me with a pillow. I couldn't help but accept her invitation. Her eyes watched my every move as we swung pillows at each other. Oh, that's cute. We filled the whole building with our laughter and shouts. She smirked a little. She was winning. Your point of view. Jason tossed his pillow to the side and charged straight towards me. He picked me out of my chair and tossed me towards the couch. I screeched a little, but then laughed as I landed on the couch. Jason then hovered above me. We wrestled a little until he pinned my wrist down, confirming that he won. He smirked a little from his victory. I smiled with him for a moment before both of our smiles faded. Oh goodness, what's going on? Oh! Jesus' point of view. We were quiet as we stared into each other's eyes as I released her wrist. She gently placed her hand on the side of my face. I couldn't hold back anymore. I pressed my lips against hers, and the two of us shut our eyes. She kept her arms around me while gripping locks of my hair. I wanted to keep going as much as she did, but I stopped and rested my forehead against hers. If I were to go further, I would have to take her to my dorm room. She cannot see the door to my world. She cannot. She cannot. I kissed her one more time before smiling at her as she looked at me, hovering above her. She had full trust in me like a child. Overwhelming fear resided in the back of my head. Fear that if she sees my world and what I am, that I'll lose more than her trust and friendship. I will lose her as a whole. I couldn't bear to imagine it. The insane part of me told me that if she finds out, she must be, quote unquote, fixed. I pray to God that it doesn't come to that. Oh, goodness. I picked her up and set her down in her chair. It was getting late. It was time to take her back to her apartment, leaving me alone again. The urge to watch her through Stella was getting even stronger. It was pushing me close to the edge of insanity. You're my friend, Jason. Mine, Pat said. You don't know Wyan very much. You met her just once. I replied, hoping she would calm down. I don't want her to know. I don't like her. I want you to play with me, not her. She snapped. I couldn't believe it. This is not the Pat I once knew. She turned into a brat like Kelly and the others before her. I felt a knot in my throat. If you want to play with Wyan, fine. Play with her. We're not friends anymore. I'm going home. Pat finished as she tossed Miranda aside and started to walk away. I looked at the stuffed doll as my anger starts to outweigh my sadness. I thought you were different, Pat, I said quietly. I heard her stop and look at me. I could feel her confused gaze. I thought you would be a true friend that I've been looking for, I added quietly as my anger continued to grow. I looked at Pat as I felt my eyes started to change, but I was wrong, I finished before grabbing Pat's wrist. I should have known you were a wolf in sheep's clothing. You are a bad girl, I said before I brought my face close to hers. I'll have to fix you up, I whispered as my appearance changed completely in front of dear Pat. She didn't say another word after that. She never will. Oh my goodness. Y'all, to say the least, I'm not surprised. I'm honestly not surprised. Because, first of all, Mr. Ewing,
they were making fuck-off pie. With 1 cup of no one cares, a dash of kiss my ass, add some fuck yous, a pinch of blow me. You're gonna want to stir it all together and shove it up your ass.
Yeah. I showed what I had to show. Anyway, that was cute. Like, everything it showed was super cute. I think it was adorable. I mean, what the hell can I say? It was freaking adorable. And I'm happy that, Tyler got what he deserved. He got what he deserved, darlings. I don't care what anybody else say. He got what he deserved. I'm glad because he better get what?
No, bitches!
And that's on period. Anywho, let me know what you guys think is gonna happen next. Do you think that eventually Jason will turn this into a doll? I need to know. I think maybe, but I doubt it. And do you think that we're going to find out who he truly is? That's a better question. Let me know in the comments down below. I have no clue. No clue. Zero clue. Let me know in the comments down below. Anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more amazing videos, guys. And before I go, I would like to give some side notes. Yeah. So, first things first, the video you guys most likely will be seeing on Friday. You'll be seeing this one on Saturday. I mean, not Saturday. Sunday. The one on Friday, it mentioned that my betta fish, died, or I was not died, but was getting taken care of. But sadly, it was a little too late. He passed away. But I did a community post about him. It was really sad time for me. I am still healing from the process, and I recently found out that one of my other betta fishes has fin rot. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I was kind of surprised. Well, not truly, but it was those type of surprises, oh, that's why that was there. I knew that was not correct where it's supposed to be, because technically the betta fish, fish urine, always had the white tips, translucent type of tips. So I never really thought much of it. Then I looked at it and I was like, is that actually normal? Because my other betta fish did not have that. And I was like, So I looked it up finally, and I was like, oh shit, he has fin rot. But surprisingly, it has slowed down. It's still there, but it has slowed down. To me, it has just a little bit. Yeah, make sure if you have betta fishes, please keep keep an eye on them, okay? Keep a ginormous eye on them, because you never know what they will actually have until you get a very close look at them and how they act. Because they can't tell you like babies can or children can. You just have to look at them and how they change, how their colors, how they act. It's very difficult, but it's a learning experience. It's just a learning experience. It just be like that. And I've heard that methylene blue helps with fin rot. So I am giving him methylene blue. If you don't know how that works, if you want a specific video about it, I can give you one in the future, because I got to still figure out my own. But I have some ideas, because I've, been researching everywhere, picking and getting the most important parts and the parts that are necessary that I need to know in my big braino. So I do know aquarium salt can help. I have to look for that, though. I have to look for that. Anywho, yo girls gotta go. This was the side note. Anyways, yo girls gotta go. Bye and peace.